in my her story, which is that I was raised by 5 women who are esoteric metaphysical priestesses and women who practice alignment to the wisdom phases of the earth and the sacred messages of the moon and the planets and the stars in the sky. So being raised by 5 women, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, and my 2 aunts, who had their own art of divination and introduced me to that since I was a child. And so I was very fond of casting the rice. And the rice is very tradition to my motherland, which is Uruguay, South America. My uncle had a rice plantation. And so one of the things that I noticed was a lot of the Yawanaba tribal women from Brazil would come and harvest the rice, and then they would cast it. And the way that the rice would throw itself or cast on the ground, they would read and divine messages of the rice mother. And then, when we moved to Canada, I met Mantraji, which is my Vedic astrology teacher and my spiritual father, who sort of introduced me to the Vedic arts of divination, such as nimitta, omenology, astrology, jyotisha. And one of the things that from my 5 mothers and my spiritual teacher, mentor, father, guru, Mantraji, they really emphasize this idea that we all need guidance and help, and that the divine nature, the divine heavens allows us that. So we take a look at trying to allow help to come into our lives by first knowing ourselves. So with Ayurveda, we know our body, our mind. Yoga offers us a deeper insight of the nature of our mind and how we process our emotions and digest our thoughts and emotions. But Jyotisha is the light of the planets that shine upon us at the time of our birth. And this is the birth chart that I was casting the rice upon. So in my great-grandmother, she would look at the sky and be a sky observer, a sky walker, as they say, and looked at the different ways of the positions of the planets and the moon, and then would use herbs or her yerba mate to sort of cast the day. And in the Vedic tradition, it is much more complex science of the light of the planets that shine upon us at the time of our birth. And that provides an understanding of our cosmic anatomy. So the sun is always the representation of our soul and our soul nature and our soul purpose, our dharma. And then the moon is a representation of our emotional mind, how we observe our emotions and process and digest the emotions. What are we emotionally connected to? Mercury is the intellect, our intellect that gives us the light of consciousness to help us discern what is real and what's unreal. And then we have Mars, which is our courage, our willpower, our strength, and the ability to strategize, organize, and bring the plan of how are we going to execute that soul purpose. And then we need the help of the guidance or the spiritual advisor of the sky, which is Jupiter, who holds an opportunity for us to learn from our lessons and who is the light of our wisdom. And we always look at him as the counselor, as the teacher, and Venus is also the guidance or the counselor, the teacher. And Venus represents the ability to live our life with our skills, our passions, the art of living. And Venus is also the metaphysical reverend, the esoteric, magical alchemist of the zodiac. So our magic and the way that we each have a unique expression of our divinity, of our passion and our love. And Saturn, the Lord of Karma, the Lord, or the karmic accountant, let's call him, the Lord of Justice, who gives us an invoice of our deeds and our misdeeds. And so we want to see where our suffering is and how to navigate out of the karmic map of suffering. And so we want to always invoke and understand the responsibilities and the, the 100% sort of responsibility for our karmic debt, and create a wonderful cosmic payment plan so that we can honor our misdeeds and start to build merit and work towards our personal self evolution and hopefully our enlightenment out of that suffering. And then we have the north node of the moon, Rahu, which represents the crises that our soul comes into this earth to experience, to heal, to learn to detach. And this is where the tail of that dragon or that snake, Rahu Ketu, is, which is the redemption to our crisis, the antidote to the suffering that we come here as a soul. So together, these 9 wonderful planets are personalities and deities. Behind them, there's 27 wonderful stars that the moon transits in, that every 2.5 days, the moon transits into a different zodiac sign. So this is where my great-grandmother would look at the sky and say, "Ay, hoy la luna está en la estrella," and she would go on about how the moon was in a specific star and how that star was going to create a certain impact in our emotional nature that day. And so she would align the diet of the day, the recipes that we would eat were based on that frequency of the moon, what the emotions were going to make us want and crave, the herbs that we would drink in our yerba mate, as well as the colors to wear and the activities to do. So very similar to the Vedic culture. So I'm a merge, I'm a fusion of both of these earth medicines as well as earth traditions, but the wisdom of the heavens is a very complex understanding of our karmic life map. I invite you all to come and have an experience. Let me cast the rice for you. Let me take a look at your birth chart, and you can always contact me, email me, and we will begin looking at how you can learn to know yourself so that you can heal yourself. I'm Andrea Oliveira, and I'm here in Toronto. You can always book with me over Zoom or come in live to my King West Divination room. Namaste.